Okay, I think we'll get started now. Good morning, everyone. My name is Judy Smith. Along with me today is Jonathan Kay, the president of SimsUshare and the creator, the mastermind behind SimsUshare. So the brains behind it all. So today we're going to have about 20 minutes where Jonathan is going to showcase how to create Sims Anywhere using a USB. At the end of it, we have set aside 10 minutes for questions and answers with regards to this presentation or any other questions that you have. Not to worry, we will get to all of the questions and make sure that everybody walks away with a great understanding of how to create Sims Anywhere. Just to let you know, this session will be recorded and it will be sent to you via email within the next 24 hours. So anything that you've learned today, you'll have a recording of that. So I'm going to pass it over to Jonathan now and he can get started.
Thank you, Judy. Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for attending. I appreciate your time. As Judy mentioned, today we're going to talk about how you really can play your simulations anywhere, because this really is one of the most popular support questions that we get called, and we always enjoy talking to people and showing them, but we know we needed to have a session about how do I basically play, how do I create the Sims or edit them in my office, for example, but then play or use it on the road. And particularly there's a lot of interest in being able to put the simulations on a USB drive, and what I'm going to show is you actually can put the program on a USB drive with your simulations, and then you can show up anywhere that you can plug in, run the program, essentially point to your simulations and have them accessible to play anywhere. If you have a license, you can even activate the license on that other computer, provided that you have deactivated it on your office computer, and so you could actually edit them as well anywhere. So without further ado, again, kind of recapping or some of the ideas about why you'd want to actually play your Sims anywhere. Let's see. So why anywhere? Again, a lot of times you will need to show the Sims in some different place from where you created them. And whether you're on the road or whether that is in a different room, it makes it easy here so you have them on the USB drive even as a backup, so you can be able to keep them and play them even if you want to give them out. Maybe you're creating your Sims for training in your department and you want other people to be able to use them that offer your computer, not on your computer obviously, but on their computer. And if they have licenses, they can even edit those simulations as well. So when we talk about anywhere option, I want to be clear that for free we have our Sim Viewer on Windows and Mac, and so that's the program I'm going to show you how to download and install from Windows or Mac and put it onto a USB drive, a flash drive, and then run it from that drive. The same instructions would work on a shared network drive, but what we'll say is if you do have a shared network drive you're using in your department, we strongly suggest that you use the free network viewer. Makes things easier for sharing on a network. So we're really going to be talking a lot about the USB drive here, but the same steps could really be done in any kind of shared medium that you have for copying the program and the simulations. On mobile, Android or iOS, Apple and Google, they've got to get their share, so they don't allow us to have a free version of the program. And so the SimsUshare Mobile, which is in the app stores, it's US $9.99. That lets you create or edit up to 3 simulations, but it also lets you play any number of simulations. So if you have that just one-time app store purchase for the SimsUshare Mobile, you can load your simulations and play them on your phone or iPad or Android tablet or Android phone. So without further ado, I'm going to show the basic steps in being able to run the program. Is let's first get the program onto a USB drive. What we're going to do, and I'm going to minimize this here, but it's a synopsis. We're going to download the SimsUshare Sim Viewer installer. will install the program onto the computer. And that's going to give us the execution files that we need to copy the program onto a USB drive. And we'll see we can rename this, and then we'll also copy our simulation. So I'm going to show you now. Minimize that here. I'll wait a couple seconds here for it to catch up, the screen sharing. Now what I've already done, let's say now I'm going to be downloading the SimViewer installer. So I go over on SimsUshare.com to get the app, and one of the places that the free viewer is available is right here at SimViewer. It's also, there's some links below as well underneath the Windows and Macintosh profiles, but I can click on SimViewer here, and then it gives me 3 columns. I can get the free Windows viewer, the free network viewer, or the free Mac viewer. So if I hit the download here, this is going to download typically into my download folder a zip file, and I'll show you what that looks like. I've sort of put it up on the desktop here. It's going to download this Setup SimsUshare v2. I'm going to open this up, and inside here there'll be a program Setup SimsUshare, and I have just essentially moved this over onto the desktop. And then you're going to just go off, and once it's here, you're going to run. Notice once it runs here, we do have a certified program to let you know the program SimsUshare. Our company is called Equipment Simulations, and you can go and actually go through the steps to install it. Now once it's installed, you'll know it's installed here. Now again, we're installing on the computer really just so we have access to the application files. It's you may already have it installed on your computer, which is great. But now, so we've done step 1, download the viewer. We've done step 2, install program. Now we're going to copy SimsUshare v2 program from the program files x86 to a USB drive. So if you haven't done this, I'll show you the exact steps here. I've got my PC over here, and I notice I actually do have this Kingston E is a USB drive, and I'll go into that. I'm going to now go and open up this another Explore window. Go to the C drive, and this is where we're looking for that program files x86. And I believe it's very similar on the Mac, going to the application and copying in the application to the USB drive. So now over here, I'm going to go to Program Files x86, and I'm going to scroll down to find SimsUshare v2. And what I'm all going to do, I'm just going to select it, right-click, and do Copy. In a moment, we'll see what's inside that, but I'm copying it. Now I'm going to go over to my thumb drive and paste it. And it's about, I think, I guess it's about 50 or 60 megabytes. It may take a few seconds to do that. Now once it's on the USB drive, I don't really need to keep it at that name. I can change this name to anything I want. So once it's finished with its copying, now it's all done. So I'm just going to, so that I know what this, so it's a little bit more clear, I'm going to call it SimsUshare application. Doesn't matter what that folder name is. So now if I actually go, I can open it up, and you'll notice inside this folder is an application called SimsUshare. You may or may not actually see the .exe depending on your settings on the computer. But the one with the icon here is the one that you actually run. So I'm just going to test it on the USB drive. I run it here. I already have it running on my desktop computer. I have it installed on my desktop computer, but you'll see it's opening up here as the viewer. And now here's once I've run it here, what it's going to do is actually, if you have not run the program on your computer, it's going to create a SimsUshare folder in your documents. This is where your sims are going to be. So I just ran this so that in case I hadn't run it on the computer before, but I guess why would you be copying simulations if you hadn't run it before? I'm just going to close this, and I'm going to go now, instead of program files, I'm going to this PC documents, and I'm going to find my SimsUshare folder. This is the folder that's going to have all the sims in it and the configuration. So what I'm going to do here, SimsUshare, I'm going to copy this one, and I'm going to now go over to my my USB drive, then I'm just going to paste it over here. And I'm going to paste the whole thing, and it copies. I have a whole bunch of sims in here already. And once this is done, I'm going to rename this file. Oh, it's saying it can't be copied without its properties. Okay, I'll do that, whatever that is. Okay, and I'll just do that for all this here. So now this is a little bit opaque what that means. So I might actually call this like my sims. So at this point, we have copied the application to the USB drive, and we've copied the simulations to the USB drive. Now, again, the key point here when you're copying simulations is your document SimsUshare folder. There's some stuff in there. You don't want to copy this stuff in there. You want to copy the main folder here, SimsUshare. And so now we've got it all on our USB drive, the E drive for this over here. And so the next step, on the computer for viewing, so now if I actually go and run the program here, I'm going to run it. So let's say that now I've plugged the USB drive into this other computer. I'm running now on that other computer that's on the road or it's in another office, but I've launched it from the USB drive. And just to recap there, you launched the SimsUshare application, which was inside my SimsUshare application folder. That's what I was actually launching. So I go here, and now in the menu, I select this and I say change main sim folder. This is the critical step. I'm going to select the folder on my USB drive. So I'm going to go here and say I'm going down to my USB drive, and I'm going to select the My Sims folder. This is really critical. You don't want to go inside here. You want to select My Sims. That was the thing we copied from the document folder. So once I click on that, I don't double click, I select this and I hit select folder. Now I actually have my simulations that are being run, being basically drawn from that USB drive. So in SimsUshare, click on play like I did, and then now we're able to go and basically play our simulation. Now, just to show you that this actually is from the USB drive, let me show you a little bit of details inside the My Sims folder. Inside My Sims, which is on my USB drive, you'll see, I'm actually going to close the program here, I have a bunch of subfolders. So that's why I didn't want to go in there before to have you confused about which to point to. When you do that change main sim folder, you want to point to the top level folder. Now inside here is where my sims are. So if I go into sims, you'll see I have actually separate folders for each sim, but the program needs that other structure, which is in the higher folder, in the higher levels, to be able to interpret the sim. So if I actually go here and I say effects, I'm just going to say I'm going to delete these simulations off my USB drive. And I'll just go and select that. So now I really will only have, I'll even delete these. Just what I want to show you is that it really is coming from the USB drive. And so anything you create also would go onto the USB drive, anything that you create. So now if I go back up over here and I say SimsUshare application, and since I did that change main sim folder, when I go here and view the sims, it's going to be looking at that the USB folder. So you see I only have the one in here. So that's the effect of when we went in and we changed the change main sim folder to the USB drive. Now the only catch about doing this, it's recording that the sims are in E: whatever I actually said, my sims. That's where it's drawing the sims from. That's where it would put the sims if you were copying, if you were creating new sims on that other computer. If you put your USB drive into a different computer, then instead of drive letter E, it was like drive letter F or G, then when you run the program, what's going to happen is you will have to go back and do that change main sim folder and make sure you point to, let's say, that G drive. So if for some reason you launch your USB, every time you go to a computer, that computer for the first time, for that user, you have to change the main sim folder to the folder, your USB drive, the sims you have in your USB drive. So really, what we've done, there's a synopsis here. We've downloaded the installer, we installed the program, we copied the program files to the USB drive. I renamed it just for convenience when you're looking through a USB drive. I copied the simulation folder to the USB drive, and I renamed it. Then on the computer that you want to view the simulations, I just opened up that folder that I'd put the program in, and I ran the SimsUshare application. And then the first time that I'm doing it on that computer, I have to go to the main menu and do change main sim folder, and I point to that top level sim file that I have on the USB drive. If you came back to the same computer with the USB drive and plugged it in again, you wouldn't have to reassign that sims. It's going to know to look on My Sims. So really only the first time that you are on the other computer you have to plug it over there. So now if you want to create or edit sims, you can enter the license code, your license code. If you want to remember though that if you're using it on your office computer, maybe before you go on the road, you could deactivate it there on the office computer, which will then turn it back to the viewer, and then you put the license code in on the computer that you're viewing, and then you can actually create and edit. And when you create or edit, it's going to be editing from the sims. It's going to be editing the sims that are on the USB drive. So it won't be editing them in the document folder on that computer, which is if you forgot to reassign the simulation folder to the USB drive, it will be putting the simulations into the document folder for that user on the computer. And you can then go and copy those if you wanted to. But good idea to always change the main sim folder over to your USB drive. So now, the idea, I say, for installing on a network, you can do the same process whether it's a USB drive, whether it's a shared folder. It's the same process, but the thing is you put it into a shared folder instead of into a USB drive. However, that we do strongly suggest you use the SimsUshare network, because the network program, that was one of the three, I'll sort of show you over here, that was the network viewer. This network viewer has a couple advantages. Namely, you can set up a configuration file to have to skip that step of having to point to your USB simulation. On a network folder, that path is always going to be the same. So there's a file you can actually you can modify to point to the same folder, and then when you run it on a new computer, you don't have to actually do anything as long as that computer is connected to the network drive. So now, of course, you got to make simulations and you want to distribute the simulations. If you, by default, haven't done that change main sim folder, the simulations are going to be in your document SimsUshare folder. And if you want, you can change the simulations even on your computer to some other folder. Maybe you have a network folder that gets backed up automatically by your IT department. So maybe documents doesn't for whatever reason. So even if you're not doing this on the USB drive, you can always change where your simulations are placed so that the most convenient makes sense for you. And I showed here copying the whole folder, the whole SimsUshare folder, because that's the easiest. It has the structure and the indexes that recognize your simulations properly. You can copy individual simulation folders just for the individual sim. It gets a little trickier because you want to copy them into the same place on the USB drive in that same structure. So that's why I really suggest for the first few times just copying your whole SimsUshare the whole SimsUshare folder. And like we saw, folder names really can be whatever you want. And I say important, when you're changing the main sim folder, I can't emphasize this enough, you want to choose the top level folder on your USB drive, the SimsUshare sims, not something inside of that folder. it needs to see certain files within the folder you select. And if you select the folder that just has your simulations directly in it, it's not going to see that stuff, the indexing that has to know it's in the right place, and it'll just be confusing. So really important, choose the main sim folder. I don't mean to beat a dead horse. When you choose the main sim folder, point to the top level, that SimsUshare folder of your sims, not anything inside there. Now, how you also can distribute simulations. We did a webinar, I don't know, I think 6 months or a year ago, about what we call sim repositories. If you have a web server for your department or a private one, you can actually package your simulations into a repository that lets you download the sims directly into the program, and not just on Windows or Mac like I'm showing here with the USB drive, but you can download them directly even on iOS or Android. We do have a help page and tutorials about doing that, where you can actually package your stuff, and then you can give out a code, you can give out the web address right inside the program. Just click which sims you want and download right into that, and anyone can do that. You can set up a password as well if you don't want people who just stumble across it. Then no one's going to really stumble across it, but you can set up a little bit of basic security. Now, thank you very much for your attention, and I'm looking forward to hearing some questions. I do want to let you know, next week we have a new business partner, AlphaACT Fire. And just to give you a little background here about what's AlphaACT, and then from their website, it's really AlphaACT is teaching you how to leverage experiences from the past, which is from your departments or NIOSH. I know they have a lot of, I think they have 70 examples that come with it, to make better decisions today. And what I kind of, in trying to kind of summarize what I think that what I see in terms of the value is that SimsUshare lets you create training and visual aids, but you decide what you want to do with it. AlphaACT is really going to help you put those visuals into a structured training course that's based on your own department's experience. So it's going to really take things to the next level. And I know it's going to be a good webinar to show you about AlphaACT from the training perspective, and I think as well there will be a little piece about how you customize, if you want to customize scenarios using SimsUshare. And that's Wednesday, September 28th at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and we have a sign up on our events area, and certainly let us know if you want any more information about that. We put a next user group meeting as January 18th. I'm going to now reduce this over here. AlphaACT is, you can go and see alphatrac.com, and you can learn more about AlphaACT, and of course our website SimsUshare.com for information. We also will have that webinar video very likely posted under the Need Help in the Need Help page. So with that, I'm going to ask Judy to come back and see how we can answer questions. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jonathan. That was excellent. At this point in time, I definitely open up the field for any individuals who want to use their chat feature and ask a question. Currently, we have one comment, and that was from Brent Thomas, and he stated that this is a great bit of information and that this will be easier for us, and thank you very much. Those were his comments.
Oh, wonderful. You know, one thing I want to actually interject, thank you, Brent. I actually have been talking with people. Another thing, having the simulations on a USB drive gives you that little extra security that in case something, you know, your computer crashes or something. This is having the program and the sims on a USB drive is just a nice kind of backup, especially for all the work that you're putting into your simulations.
Perfect. We have a question from Adam Lossing. He asked if he can get a recording of this. And Adam, yes, absolutely. Within about 24 hours of this meeting, I'll be sending out an email. Just thank you for your attendance. And in that email, there will be a recording of this user group meeting, so you'll have it so you can listen to Jonathan over and over and over again.
Yeah, if you have trouble sleeping, just put this on and sort of a dual use kind of thing.
Okay. And then we have a question from Jeff Wainwright. It is, if you did the same thing, but instead of a USB, you put it up on the network share, can you use a UNC path to access, or must you use a drive letter, question mark? Does the network viewer support UNC paths?
Yes, the answer is it does. And what I learned recently, for people who are not familiar, UNC paths are used on networks. You'll see them. You're probably more familiar than me, but you'll see they'll set up something like, and I'm typing here, I'll say like fire training, instead of actually seeing like C colon or HTTP or whatever. And we do support network UNC paths. You can put that in your network share. And the good thing about UNC paths as opposed to drive letters, this may be for more technically oriented, or Jeff, you may know already, the drive letters typically depend on the user. So I might be a user and my N drive might be mapped to what someone else's V drive or X drive. But with UNC paths, that's a single way. So particularly for network users, by using the UNC specification of how to get to it, that will work for all the users regardless of what drive letter they might actually have assigned.
Perfect. Thank you. There's another question from Chad from LaSalle. Hi, Chad. You had stated that next week you will be at the training officer seminar all week and will be able to attend the AlphaACT webinar. Will it be posted? Absolutely, and just sort of the webinar is on September 28th, and it'll be the same as today. It'll be recorded and then posted. And Chad, I've just made a little note of it to make sure that I send you an email of the recording, even though you won't be in attendance. And also, Chad, I will be at that training officers seminar on the Tuesday when they have the open day in the library, so you can definitely come by and ask me any questions that you might have. The next is from Ryan Pennington. He said, right. Yay, love listening to Jonathan.
Thank you. The check's in the mail, Ryan. I appreciate
it. Troy Libis said thank you. And Jim Crowley said, thank you for allowing me to learn something new this morning. See you at Mohonk.
Yes. Oh, Jim, it's a beautiful hotel that my family we've gone for about 40 years. And Jim is the chief at the Mohonk Hose Company one. No, I'm sorry, not the chief, but he is a wonderful person who is dedicated to good training, and thank God he's haven't had issues there, but I know that their company is very ready. So thank you, Jim, and we look forward to our usual trip out there and seeing you.
Now we have a question from Daniel Echeverry. I'm sorry if I've pronounced your name wrong. The question is, does the license stay on the USB drive, question mark, and do we need to delete the license before we leave the computer we are using, question?
Okay, that's a good question. The license actually is not on the USB drive. It is on the user that you're running it on. So if you if you have it activated on your computer, like the office, and you try and activate it on the road on some other computer, if you don't have an extra license, it will tell you it's rejected. So you would have to remember to deactivate on your office. Again, if there's these kinds of issues, we understand how that happens. You give us a call or an email, and we can certainly work things out to make sure you get, so you can have it working on the road. But you want to also make sure when you're done at that other place to deactivate. And I'll just sort of quickly show you here as well that the deactivation, what will happen is that once it's activated, instead of being upgrade to platinum, this will turn into managed license. And on the mobile versions, it will actually say it'll say log out, enterprise log out. When you click manage license, there'll be a button for deactivating it. So again, you can the license is really restricted to the computer. If you put it onto this, if if you're on the road and using it through the USB drive, it's not really attached to the USB drive. It's really onto the user, on the computer that you're running on.
Perfect. Thank you. We have another question from Troy, and he's asking if we could send the AlphaACT webinar next week information so he can sign up. So what I'm going to do, just because there is lots of interest with the AlphaACT, is when I send the thank you email for attending this webinar, with the recording of this webinar, I will also include the link if you're interested in registering for the AlphaACT webinar so that you can get it done right from that email.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think that webinar is going to be good. I really think the AlphaACT is doing a nice job of really taking the training courses to the next level, not just being able to customize with SimsUshare, but being able to incorporate a department's experience on similar kinds of runs and in a very structured way, and of course structured and consistent that makes it easier to teach good practice.
Perfect. We had a nice comment from Todd Smith. He said, thank you very much for taking the time to do training sessions like this. Love the format. Wish more vendors would provide the same. Thank you.
Well,
so that's great. Sorry, go ahead, Jonathan.
Yeah, no,
I was just going to say. Go ahead.
You go, Judy. Sorry.
I just, we pride ourselves on client support, and we love the attendance that we get out of these sessions, and we love to hear from you. Both myself and Jonathan are available all the time for questions, technical support, and we try to host one of these every 3 to 4 months, and we really try to base it on the questions we've received over the 3 to 4 months, what seems to be standing out. So thank you.
And that's, I think I was really going to echo that. We're very interested in hearing the questions that you have so we can make these topics and make these talks, because we know that we get questions all the time about can the program do this or that, and most of the time if the answer is not yes, we can get to something that is very close to yes. We really need to know what questions you have, how you're using it practically, and that way we can help you use it in the widest possible way.
Yes, absolutely. And Jeff echoed the support is top-notch.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it.
So I don't know if there are any more questions. Definitely, I know we're past that 30-minute mark, so if people have to leave, by all means, we completely understand. If there are any additional questions, we'll definitely answer them now. If not, we'll bid everyone adieu. Any additional questions at this time? I'll give a minute to type, and if not, okay. Well, it looks like we are done this user group webinar today. So thank you, Jonathan. That was fabulous. I feel that you walked through it in a step-by-step manner that each of us will be able to walk away and repeat those steps ourselves. I thank everyone for their attendance, and look for that email. It'll be out from me within, like I said, within the next 24 hours. My contact information and Jonathan's contact information will be in that email, and please do not hesitate to reach out to either one of us, as we want to ensure that your SimsUshare experience is always fantastic. So thank you. Jonathan?
Thank you. I just noticed on the slide I lost the telephone number, but for the tech support for reaching me, but that's on our SimsUshare.com website, easy to get to. And as Judy's saying, we are more than happy. We really enjoy speaking with you about not only today, but just in the day-to-day to help you get the most of the program. Thank you very much for your time and your patience.
Thank you. Everyone have a great day.